What has simultaneously got worse and more expensive? Story 1. Cable television. More commercials, channels upon channels of nonsense, ridiculous monthly bill. Wow. Google says the average cable bill is currently $217.42 a month. That is disgusting. Mine is $300 every month, but that includes high-speed internet Wi-Fi, DVR, and lots of channels. Hell, in the summer I'm outside mostly and don't even watch TV. Edit. Wow, this blew up overnight. I guess I'm still paying for cable because I always have and it's expected. Yes, I'm old. But you young whippersnappers are teaching me I don't need to anymore. $300 a month is a lot when I don't even use it. Guess I'll start watching the recorded shows on my DVR and turn it in and cut the cord. Could you potentially change to just Wi-Fi for a good discount? Or do you actually get some value from having the cable TV DVR? I think we only pay $80 for just internet, but we do have a couple of streaming services which bring our monthly TV cost to probably $110, $120. Not sure who they use, but if it's anything like my parents, Wi-Fi plus cable is like $160, $180, whereas Wi-Fi by itself is like $200. That smeg should be illegal. Yeah, I really don't understand why anyone bothers with cable anymore. Sports. Especially football. It's damn near impossible to watch football without cable, or without paying crazy amounts for multiple streaming services that allow watching football. It's impossible to watch baseball if you live in Market without cable or satellite. If you live in the state of Iowa, you're blacked out from watching 6 teams on MLB TV. What some people don't also realize is what they're doing on cable channels for reruns. On older shows, they speed up the video fractionally to add an extra couple of ad slots. I noticed this about 8 or so years ago because TBS ran a Friends rerun. I left them on in the background for noise, and one day I asked myself, when in the hell did Chandler sound so nasally? It's because the sound is sped up to match. You can also see this on old reruns of Law and Order on WeTV because of how rapidly everyone moves. It isn't natural. It can't fool the mind if you've seen the episodes before. The kicker, though, was a couple years ago, I was in the hospital. One channel was playing Friends again, but the broadcast block was for like 38 minutes. Standard Friends episode is 22. Standard block is 30 minutes. They added 8 additional minutes of ads for one episode showing. Having once worked in cable, Comcast, a lot of problems come from the producers and channel vendors. Example, Golf Channel decided one day they wanted to be on a different package and said to move the channel immediately or they'll pull it off the contract. So Comcast did, and the next day we had over 400 trouble calls for missing the Golf Channel because it all happened so fast we couldn't get word out. Channels have become blocks of old shows on endless repeat. I once asked my boss about it, and it's simply we sold them the time slot. What they do with it is theirs. I have my cable TV bill charged to a credit card, and I don't look at the fees as frequently as I should. I noticed yesterday that my bill was $178 per month. I called the cable company's cancellation phone line. The rep said she would see what she could do to lower the bill. She said that by adding the internet to my account, the total bill would be $124 a month. I get the internet on a separate service through my business, but hell, I signed up for an internet that I won't use in order to save $54 a month on TV service. It just sounds like the cable companies are just having a lot of trouble just letting go of the power they held. And now it seems like streaming services are in a bit of trouble because they've gotten away with not reporting how much money they make for so long, but now the writer's strike and the actor's strike are forcing that. I've not been a sports person forever, so I've never had those issues. I've usually just had an internet service. Story 2. Insurances. Last job I had didn't offer insurance, even though I was working 60-plus hours a week, and the cheapest plan I could find in my area was $300 a month with an $8,000 deductible. And the one time I actually tried to use it, I got a letter from the doctor saying, "Sorry, your insurance refuses to cover these blood tests." A letter from my insurance provider saying they needed more information before they would cover anything, despite having been covered for 6 months without them telling me that. They also didn't specify what the information they needed was. A bill from the doctor for over $500 and a bill from my insurance provider for services provided. Thought about leaving them a complaint with the Better Business Bureau, but their page on the BBB website had a big red warning at the top that said, "This company is known for filing lawsuits against people who leave false negative feedback," or something to that effect. My story isn't false, but I don't have the time and certainly not the money to fight them on if they sued me. On top of all that, they weren't even good at math and messed up my tax info so badly that because of them, I ended up owing several $100s in taxes because they weren't charging me correctly. I got a tax credit for the health insurance marketplace, and apparently the company was taking out more for taxes than they were supposed to, so I don't know how the hell it was still that expensive unless they were just pocketing the difference and passing along the tax trouble to me. Name and shame. I came here to say this, and as a licensed insurance writer, there are certain states I refuse to do business in because of how fracked up the situation is right now. Edit. States are California and Florida. If I didn't live next door to them, I'd drop Massachusetts too. They purposely go above and beyond to be as convoluted of a process as possible. Some of the big-name insurance companies have dedicated teams just for Massachusetts. That's how much of a pain in the butt they are. Not an insurance broker, but a mortgage servicer. I was the one who had to tell people, "So hey, we're ordering forced insurance for your property in 60 days if you don't give us a new policy." Homeowner. "But that's crazy. I've been with my insurance forever. You have the info. You've paid every year with no problems." Me. "Well, they decided your state sucks and they're pulling out, so you gotta find a new policy." Especially in Florida. I lived in New Mexico in the mid-2000s, and current Florida is equal to past smeghole New Mexico. I priced out car insurance here, and it was $260+ a month for full coverage, no accidents, tickets, etc. California was $125 in comparison. You are inadvertently, I'm sure, exemplifying my point. Her insurance company didn't exist to cover her in time of dire need. It existed to make as much profit as possible, and one of its strategies was washing its hands of as many situations as possible where they'd be obligated to pay out. She wanted insurance so that if anything happened to the bike, she'd have the means to get it repaired or replaced. Her bike was destroyed, and her insurance company left her with the ashes. This is awful. But instead of having any empathy for her, you'd rather imply it as customer stupidity, or as the other comment implies, customer entitlement. But this is to be expected from someone who calls people worker-drone peasants. Good grief. Yeah, health insurance. I don't know, it seems like health insurance, as long as I've been alive, has always been a pain. It's just gotten progressively worse, and it's just been used for insurance companies to profit off of and not actually be a health service. It's awful. Story 3. Hot Pockets. They used to be pretty good, even cooked in a microwave. Now they're made with worse quality bread, barely have half as much meat, don't cook well, and they cost about 50% more. All this in just 5-ish years. I'm so glad you said this. I bought Hot Pockets a few weeks back, accidentally overcooked one, and it completely split in half. I couldn't believe how little stuffing was in it. It was my first time buying Hot Pockets in like 5 years, so I wasn't sure if I just remembered them being better or if they've actually degraded that much in quality. I miss the barbecue. Now it's all pizza flavors or pretending they're not pizza flavors but still are. A lot of microwaved food I used to eat in my younger years tastes like smeg now. I loved those chicken Alfredo things you'd take out of the freezer and nuke for 2 minutes, stir it and eat. They were so good, one of my favorites. I tried one for the first time in years a few years ago, and they just suck now. I don't know if my taste buds have changed or if the formula changed, but I swear the quality is down. Same thing with Nesquik chocolate milk. I remember it being a nice, rich chocolatey taste. Now it tastes chalky. Stouffer's Turkey Tetrazzini was my go-to for literal decades. I'd bring them to my retail job in high school in the 80s and 90s. Always a good, fast, hot comfort meal. About 2 years ago, they became downright inedible. The price doubled, the turkey became nothing but fatty gristle. You get maybe one mushroom and half the pasta. I was so unhappy and outraged. I lived in a good restaurant desert. Like, the closest decent ones are like 10 miles away at least. So, off to allrecipes.com, and I learned how to make my own damn tetrazzini and freeze that. These food prices are turning me, very grudgingly and resentfully, into a better cook. Well, at least there's a silver lining to that one, but everyone's complaining that actually prices are going up, but the size of ingredients, not just the quality, the size are going down. I think people are calling it shrinkflation now. I'm pretty sure that's been going on for a while too, but it's now just coming back to our attention. Story 4. Appliances. Washers, dryers, refrigerators. But hey, if it doesn't break, how can they sell you a new one? I had a 30-year-old hand-me-down when I started out. Gave them away, and to my knowledge, they're still being used. New stuff is 30 times more expensive and fails in 5 years. Planned obsolescence by companies is definitely a thing. That said, there's another component people tend to not know just how much has affected our manufacturing. There's a ton of EPA regulations as well that contributes. More sensors, required energy limits, meaning things are built more breakable, less industrial powerhouse, can't get heating coils hot enough, can't use as much water, etc. For example, one reason trucks have become so massive is the bigger the vehicle, the more horsepower and consumption it's allowed. So the hauling power could all fit into a smaller frame, but the design decisions are actually regulatory based. Edit. Whoa, didn't expect that many responses. Great conversations, by the way. Story 5. Vegetables. They used to be relatively inexpensive, but would last 3 days or more. Now if you buy them, they'll look like smeg and have to be cooked or consumed almost immediately as they'll wilt or rot quickly. The larger chains are taking a page out of some minority-owned groceries that buy less expensive last-leg veggies, with the understanding that they'll be sold cheaply and eaten quickly. The difference? Larger chains aren't passing those lower costs on and are increasing prices as well. I'm finding myself at ethnic markets more often because if the quality is the same, at least the prices are lower. I'm gonna get grief for this, but unless I'm planning on eating it raw, I buy frozen fruits and veggies. Peas, beans, cauliflower, broccoli are all fine frozen if I'm gonna cook them. Frozen raspberries for a raspberry sauce or smoothies or to make homemade jam are amazing and a great deal for frozen. And they're often frozen right after they've been picked at their freshest and best stage. The issue with freezing comes from the fact that freezing fruits and veg can cause the moisture in them to freeze, expand, and destroy their cells. So fruits and veg with high water content, like raspberries, don't hold up as well for everything. Broccoli, carrots, Brussels sprouts, and other hard veggies freeze and thaw just fine, and they often taste better than the fresh ones I bought at the store that day. Cheaper, too. Story 6. Fast food. You guys remember the dollar menu? I'm old enough to remember Taco Bell's $59.79.99 campaign, and holy hell, do I feel even older just typing that out. I'm old enough to remember their $39.59.79 menu. When the 7-layer burrito came out, it was 79 freaking cents. Now get off my lawn, sonny. 99-cent chili cheese burritos. I miss that. Yeah, they're like $3.50 now, and a rare find. Also, my favorite side of Pintos and cheese that was like 79 cents 10 years ago is now $2.50. Absolutely absurd. 2 apple pies at McD's for $1. And the apple pies were edible then, too. McD's used to be my lazy go-to breakfast. Used to be cheap and awesome. Now breakfast for me and my wife is like $20. Used to get 2 hash browns for $1. Now they flipped it and they're $2 each. No hash brown that size and quality is worth $2 fracking dollars. I drink very seldom, but had a wicked frack you your 40 hangover and went for my old sausage McMuffins, hash browns, and milk, and I thought I was still drunk when I saw the price. Seriously, I love Taco Bell, but holy hell, it's like $2+ for a soft taco, and they charge like $3 or $4 for a Mountain Dew. I'm 33. When I was in high school, we used to fish quarters out from under the seat for a couple of stoner burritos. Now it's the most expensive chain in town. Literally. I don't know if I've just gotten older or what, but I can't remember the last time I had fast food afterwards and didn't feel sick and have a hole in my wallet. There's one thing at Costco, their hot dogs, that will never change in price. And it's great that they keep it that way. They've always said that they will never change the price on that just because people are going to Costco and they're buying other stuff anyway. It's sort of a hook that keeps people in there. It's the same thing with their chickens, too. The chickens are always usually good and they're still really cheap, but you have to go all the way to the back of the store to get it. So on the way out, I had to pick this up and this up, too. So that's their strategy, but at least there's something that's that cheap.
Please like and subscribe if you made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day.
Story 7. HBO. Ride shares. Chicken wings. Airbnbs. I love how ride shares and Airbnbs were made to replace a poor quality existing service and somehow became worse in just bigger cash grabs over time. All the garbage with Airbnbs just makes hotels more appealing despite them not making many improvements. Hotels are such a vast improvement to Airbnbs, it's ridiculous. Like the place is designed entirely around catering to you. You have a maid that cleans up after you. No list of rules and chores before you check out. There's usually a bar. It's always clean. They typically do not frack up your reservation. There's a concierge to give you recommendations and mail smeg or whatever for you. Free coffee. No potentially creepy host, less random fees. Like, man, I get there's downsides too, but I'm kind of shocked when I hear someone say they prefer Airbnbs to hotels. Story 8. Netflix. Streaming in general. Netflix the most because they were first, but it used to be you had 1, maybe 2 services and could watch damn near anything anytime. Now there's like 50 services and nearly everything they have is exclusive. And when you want to watch a certain movie or show, you have to first Google to find out what service it's on and see if you even have access. I got so irritated not finding the movies I want to watch, so now I just go on Amazon and buy the Blu-ray for $10 and watch it anytime I want for one price. Exactly. And then you find the movie and it's $5.99 or $9.99 and you're like, oh well, let's watch something else. More accurately, you Google where to watch title of movie or show, you see the price, and then you Google search watch title of movie show online for free and make sure all your antivirus is up to par. Story 9. Disney Plus, Disney Parks, Disney Hotels, and Apple. Disney Parks so fracking much. Genie Plus's implementation has been awful, and I'm not even in the camp of being upset that Fast Passes have to be purchased now. That's how literally every other theme park is, but the system itself is stupid. Any other park, you pay for the Fast Pass, you enter through that quick line, maybe only once per ride, that's it. No hogwash. Plus, they cap the sales. Genie Plus, you purchase it, then you have to book a return time for one attraction, then can't book another return time until you've done that first attraction or wait 2 hours. The most popular attractions get booked up quickly, and you won't be able to use it for everything you want most of the time. Because it's not super clear for most people, some will buy it in the middle of the day for one specific ride, not realizing they also have to book a return time just to realize all the return times have been booked for the day. You shouldn't need a major tutorial on how to use a service when you're on vacation, nor have to be on your phone constantly to make it work. Story 10. American candy bars. They're downright tiny now and cost 2 to 3 times as much as they did 10 plus years ago. Also, you can tell the manufacturers are using inferior ingredients. The chocolate is dry and chalky. Most notable in Butterfingers ever since they changed hands to Ferrero. Less than 2% cocoa instead of chocolate for a healthier formula. It's a deity damn fracking candy bar that can also be used as a weapon for self-defense. It's not supposed to be healthy. I call it the smeg finger nowadays. In some cases, they probably can't technically say it's even chocolate anymore. Same with ice cream. It's frozen dairy dessert now. Check your freezers if you don't believe me. I saw a video about that a few years ago on YouTube, and it completely changed the way I look at frozen dairy dessert. I avoid it at all costs and always make sure the ice cream actually says ice cream. Story 11. Flying. Sorry, the overhead bins are full, so we'll need to check your bag and lose it. Also, the flight is delayed and possibly canceled, but don't ask me any questions. Can I interest you in a voucher that's only valid for the next 12 minutes? We're sorry, your flight has been delayed for 6 hours. No, it's delayed, not canceled, so we won't be giving you a refund or rebooking you on another flight. Roughly half of my flights get canceled. I now drive virtually everywhere I go. By the time you get to the airport 2 hours early, get hassled at TSA, deal with cramped seats, crying babies, and women seeing imaginary people, then stand in line for a rental car, it's just not worth it unless you're going really far, like coast to coast or to Europe. Story 12. I mean, everything. Popular tourist locations, food, healthcare, gyms, parking, going into the city for a night out, drinking water, public sports fields, courts, driving ranges all got turned into McMansions. And now the only place you can hit a golf ball around here is Top Golf for $1 billion an hour. Roads, air travel, where are kids even supposed to hang out now? Malls and arcades are dead. The skating rinks are gone. No wonder they do stupid smeg in groups now. I gotta stop. Edit. Since it seems the only thing people disagree about and are passionate about are gyms, I don't particularly care for the fancy gyms with 3 floors and weird smeg to use that no one uses, and a smoothie cafe that charges $21 for a scoop of protein and yogurt blended in a Vitamix. And while I don't have anything against social media gym accounts, I follow a lot of them, having multiple people setting up to record their sets at all times gets a little old. Give me that old school dungeon. Story 13. Smeg, what hasn't? Costco hot dog. See, I told you. If you raise the frackin' hot dog, I will unalive you. Figure it out. I love that this is real. Costco founder told the CEO that he will unalive him, the CEO, if the price of hot dogs goes up from $1.50 to $1.55. This was a couple of years ago when inflation was starting to go through the roof. It's also a great business strategy because the free media attention those cheap hot dogs generate is more than worth the losses they're probably getting on that one item. Story 14. Subway. $13 $13 footlong. Footlong is a proper noun and should not be interpreted as indicating the actual length of the sandwich. So they measure the same way guys measure what they do. Makes sense. Story 15. The food you get at restaurants nowadays. Low quality, small portions, but the prices are insane. I've stopped going out to eat altogether because of this. It's been a very nice change to my life. Stop eating fast food and chain restaurants. Any local bistro, steakhouse, or locally owned place tends to have great food. It's usually the same price, if not cheaper, than the chain. People that run their own business have a vested interest and passion to serve great food. Story 16. College education. Healthcare. College. Oh. Out of curiosity, I checked the tuition for my program at my school last year. A mere 7 years after I graduated. 4 times. It's increased 4 times in 7 years. My older sister, who went to school straight out of high school, I didn't go to college until I was 30, and her entire education Both of us computer science was the same as 1 semester at my rate. Now it's 4 times that. Story 17. A better question would be, what hasn't gotten simultaneously worse and more expensive? Because that's a harder question to answer. TVs. Tech in general, to be honest. Anything that keeps us distracted from asking these types of questions. Story 18. Rent. The price keeps climbing, the wages stagnate, and the houses keep getting smeggier. I pay almost $900 a month for a roach and rat-infested duplex that's literally rotting and has the worst mold problem I've ever seen. Story 19. Life. It's a little too close to home, dog. I see myself in this comment and I don't like it. Story 20. Very true of new vehicles. The amount of smeg they have to engineer into each one makes them incredibly expensive. And it's much easier to bake that into a giant luxury SUV or pickup truck and bury it in the price than it is to do on a very basic transportation/commuter vehicle. Safety and environmental efficiency are both excellent things, but when it makes new appliances disposable and forces vehicles to be enormous, it's counterproductive.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.